To the first question, since we didn't get to it, Briahna, is America systemically racist?
Well, there you go.
There's systemic racism, of course, in America. There's systemic poverty. There's a lot of... Look, I think we should probably start by talking about the word systemic, what the word systemic means. It means that we're not any longer talking about the realm of this person was mean to me, this person didn't give me a job because they didn't like the cut of my jib, or they didn't like that I was a woman, or they didn't hire me because I was pregnant, or any number of things that go on in people's lives. Those kind of one-off instances of oppression, discrimination, of course exist. For people who are members of protected classes and people who aren't members of protected classes. I could not hire you because I don't like your shirt, and there's nothing the law can do about that, but of course that would exist, but we wouldn't call that systemic oppression even if we would call that wrong. What we mean when we say systemic is that we have institutions in our country, whether it's something like our institution of laws, whether it's our prison system, whether it's our education system. And because we're human beings and because we're flawed as we're putting together these systems, because there's always room to perfect the systems that we have made by our own human fallible design, there are often the same kind of biases and interests that we have are baked into those systems. And it's not about someone necessarily sitting around nefariously saying, oh, I'm going to get you, sucker. But the reality is when you look at the way the world is designed, and outcomes aren't always indicative of a problem, but sometimes they are. And so when you see something like, for instance, regardless of the race of the perpetrator, or regardless of the race of the criminal, you are 4 times more likely to get the death penalty if the victim is white versus that the victim is black. Now, this is regardless if the person who did the killing was white or black. If you kill a white person, you're more likely to get the death penalty than a black person. This is an interesting thing to think about. Here's one that isn't explicitly about racial bias. It's about class bias that's built into our criminal justice system. We have a system that says if you get arrested and charged with a crime, but not convicted, innocent until proven guilty, many people are able to get out on bail. And your bail amount is tethered to, and bears some relationship to the nature of the crime. Sometimes you're not going to be released regardless because you're considered to be too dangerous. But many people are released based on an amount of money, and the people who wait outside, their bail is set, and the people who wait outside of prison happen to be people who can come up with $500, and the people who wait inside of prison, even for minor offenses like hopping a turnstile or something like that, are the people whose family couldn't come up with those small amounts. So we have a 2-tiered system that we can say wasn't designed to hurt poor people. It wasn't designed to hurt people who are disproportionately poor, who are black and Latino. But it has the effect of saying you get to be out of jail depending on whether or not your parents or your boyfriend or your friend or whomever happens to have $500. And some people would say that's evidence that the system was poorly designed to really take into account the real life realities of the world. So yes, do I think that systems like that exist? Obviously they do.
Okay.
I'll let you react.
So is America systemically racist? Mm-hmm. No, we're the least racist nation ever to exist.
Well, those things aren't also mutually exclusive.
Well, both are true. We're not systemically racist.
There's another logical fallacy, Charlie.
Well, I'm saying 2 independent true things. So America is not systemically racist. Also, we're the least racist country ever to exist in the history of the world. Can you say 2 true things in a row?
I'm not sure. I'd have to...
Go back to Harvard, yeah.
Do you have a little chip on your shoulder about Harvard there,
No, I'm
Charlie?
impressed because it's like you're this amazing contradiction.
So I actually would have liked if he responded with the points that she made. I actually don't think the point she made actually pointed out to systemic racism, because if a black person is 4 times more likely to get the death penalty for the same crime that a white person is, I know that's based on the judge issuing that. So that still goes to the individual, and the individual might be racist, but the system doesn't allow it. I would say probably change so the ability for judges to have to choose who gets what type of penalty. Judges has a range of sentencings they can give people for the same crime. I feel like maybe that should be either minimized or taken away completely. So I disagreed that she even mentioned a point that was systemic racism. I think she still went on the individual level. However, Charlie didn't even address any of the points she made.
It's like we have